I'll be sharing a personal story with you when I go through a lot of the scientific stuff. But personal accountability is something to me that's very, very important. It's one of those things that nobody can do for you. And there is no magic pill for accountability. Like Krista said, we can have the best products in the world, which we do. But if you don't take them, then you don't get the benefit of that. So this is a constant challenge, not only with our products, but with a lot of aspects of lifestyle and wellness. Wellness in a lot of cases is a choice. I mean, you think about it, when you walk through a shopping mall, and well, back in the days when we walked through shopping malls, but we'll get back to that again. But just picture back years ago when we used to walk through shopping malls and you'd see thousands of people, and you'd always run into people that were probably in their 80s or 90s that look like they're in their 40s or 50s. And at the same time, you'd see people that are in their 20s that look like hell, and they look like they're probably like 70. And a lot of that has to do with personal choices. It has a lot to do with genetics, which that's something you really can't control. But nutrition and personal choices can compensate for even some of the worst genetics. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to jump into, if I can figure this out, I'm going to share this screen presentation with you. Okay, so. All right. So, like I mentioned on the call last week and probably the week before, pretty much every presentation I do, I start off with Dr. Wentz's vision, because you really have to go back to, for people particularly that are new to USANA, you have to understand where the whole foundation, what's the keystone in the foundation of this great organization that we've got. And that would be this visionary scientist named Dr. Wentz. Now, he's not a businessman. He turned out to be a very good businessman, but his whole goal was solving problems and applying science to solve problems. He's an applied scientist just like me. And that's what we do, is we try and take scientific research and solve people's problems for them. And his particular area of research was, how many people can we help with their health and wellness using things that are safe and natural and affordable for people to take? And so I always refer to this because this is the guiding thing that I've always believed in even before I came to USANA. And it's the foundation, and this is something that we'll always live by, is meeting the genuine needs of our customers. We're not out there to push stuff on you that you don't really need. We don't sell perfume, we don't sell candles, we don't sell shoe polish, jewelry. We sell nutritional supplements that have a specific purpose to them. And this is something that people need, and millions of people around the world have already seen the benefit of USANA's products every single day. So let's talk about personal accountability. This is an interesting concept. Accountability is something you can't delegate. Okay, it's something that it's you. It's all you. Okay, there's a lot of people in this world that don't take responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault if something goes wrong. But when it comes to health, a lot of this is something that you have to take your own accountability for. It's true, it's nice that we've got hospitals and we've got insurance and we've got all this stuff if tragedy hits. But taking care of yourself and keeping well for as long as you can so you don't need that stuff is really your personal responsibility, and you have to hold yourself accountable for the results. So, okay, so USANA, our main business is providing the highest quality nutritional supplements around the world. But that's not all there is to a healthy lifestyle. That's part of it. That's the nutritional aspect of it. Also, USANA, being part of the USANA organization, contributes a lot in the area of emotional. We're very much a family. The associates, the people at corporate headquarters. When you go to our events, it's like a huge family reunion. It's really fantastic. And then also, we provide financial incentives that help people with their finances, which is a very important part of their life. But this particular presentation tonight is going to focus mainly on physical and nutritional. The other elements are things that, we'll get into gradually, but you have to tackle these things one at a time. So healthy lifestyle. What are some of the things that are part of healthy lifestyle? Well, things like, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, getting the right foods, exercising, and alleviating stress or preventing it from building up in your body, at least to a toxic level. These days, you can't avoid stress. I mean, it's one of those things that's in your face all the time, no matter where you turn. It's all over the place. But it's not avoiding stress so much. It's being able to deal with it. Things like meditation, using exercise. People that have good nutrition tend to deal with stress better. Their cortisol levels are lower because they've got good nutrition. People that get good sleep tend to have less stress because, again, the cortisol levels are much lower. So all this stuff ties together. Healthy weight is something that's very important. I'm going to refer to that quite a bit. But healthy weight is really, it's thermodynamics in the scientific sense. It's called thermodynamics, where the inputs have to equal the outputs. So the food that you're taking in, if you're a very active person, you can take in a lot more food and not gain weight. But if you're fairly sedentary, if you've got an office job and you're not very active, then you probably should be controlling your intake of nutrition and calories. Otherwise, what will happen is over time it accumulates. And I've got a very personal story about that I'll share with you a little bit later. So how many people out there in the audience, we've got probably over 1,000 people now and on the line. How many people out there have been on a diet? And this is really shocking when you look at this, because an average 45-year-old person has already been on 61 diets, and that's average. So there's people that have been on twice as much, and probably a few people that have only been on 30 diets in their lives. But this is something that's a fad thing that's kind of gone through, it's gone through many generations, where there's been diet books around for almost 100 years, over 100 years. And diet is something that, maintaining a healthy weight is something that's very important. But these fad kind of diets where people, they basically restrict their intake and they eat healthy for a short period of time, and then they fall off the wagon, they put all that weight back on plus more, and then they look for the next diet to go on to. And that's that yo-yo effect that's so bad for health. So what I'm gonna propose to you, and I'm gonna try and teach you, is how to just commit to a healthy lifestyle for the long term. So rather than thinking about temporary changes to the things that you eat and drink as being the definition of diet, think of it this way. The food that we eat every day is our diet. So just over time, you improve it. You don't have to drastically overnight change everything that you're eating, because that's actually detrimental. It throws off your body. It throws off your metabolism. It may throw off your nutrition as well. So that's probably not actually a safe thing to do. But what I'm talking about is making perpetual changes and being realistic in the time frame that's going to take for diet and exercise to show visible results. And I'll show you that. I'll share that with you in my story a little bit later. So some of the things that I recommend to everybody, because I get lots of questions. I get people that don't know anything about nutrition, and I get really smart people. There's a lot of really smart people in USANA associates that when I go to events, they're asking me highly, highly technical questions that are, like 1 in a million type of questions. And I appreciate that. I love answering those kind of questions. But for right now, I'm not going to go into that kind of detail. I'd rather talk about the larger overall picture. We need to make sure we're getting enough fruits and vegetables for phytonutrients in our diet. And USANA actually puts phytonutrients into our dietary supplements. So when we talk about our essentials, we actually use very standardized, purified phytonutrients to elicit specific effects in your body. But that doesn't mean you don't ever have to eat a fruit or vegetable again in your life. Okay, there's a lot of things in fruits and vegetables that are good for you. Particularly, it's summertime right now in North America. I love it. I mean, it's so beautiful up here. You see the picture behind me. That's the lake that I go fishing on every evening after work. So my son and I, after quitting time, usually around sunset, we'll go and drown a few worms and hopefully catch a few fish. But summertime is beautiful because there's an abundance of fruits and vegetables, fresh, and we should take advantage of that. There's a farmer's market around here that I always go to, and we make sure we stock up and eat as much as we possibly can during the summertime, because it's not really available that kind of fresh year round. Make sure you're getting enough fiber and the nutrients, the fats and protein in your diet. USANA has a great fiber supplement called Fibergy. And it's really simple. I mean, most people, you can look at the government data, the government NHANES data, and most people in this country don't get anywhere near the amount of fiber that they should for real adequate health, for not only for your GI tract, but just for overall health. So that's something, that's supplementation. So all these things, lifestyle, and then reducing your exposure to chemicals. This is really important. Change out those cleaners in your house. Everybody has to, during this whole pandemic thing, cleaners are in short supply. They're selling out of the stores faster than the companies can make them, which I understand that. But at the same time, these things are, in a lot of cases, they're fairly toxic. So you don't want to be just like, spraying your whole house down. You want to use these things judiciously. Alcohol, we're not talking about like hand sanitizer. That's fine. That doesn't go to your body. That's not really going to affect you. But during this time, alcohol sales have actually gone way up too during this pandemic. And a lot of people they're trapped inside, they're lonely and they're bored. And that's kind of a natural thing to do. But that's something that try and reduce that. And then also these foods that people are eating nowadays, because people hoard it up on canned food, all sorts of canned produce and that kind of stuff, which is, it's good because it's shelf stable, but it's also really super high in sodium. So I did the same thing because I didn't know how bad this was going to get. So I actually had stored up, about a month's worth of like canned food, but it's still sitting in my pantry. And, if summer comes and we get through this whole thing, I'll donate that to the food bank. I'll only eat it in an emergency, but, I understand people stocking up on it, but please don't eat too much of that stuff because it's actually long-term. It's not very healthy for you. So one area that we can really help a lot is in nutritional health. This is USANA's specialty. So take a look at this list. I mean, these are the major causes these are factors that contribute to early death. And there's a lot of stuff on here, and you should probably go down that list. And if you're guilty of any of these things, which we all to some extent are, try and eliminate that from your life. Particularly, the really bad ones are smoking. If you have high blood pressure, you need to keep that under control. Obesity, which again is something that's personal accountability in a lot of cases. Sometimes it's metabolic, and I totally understand that, and in that case, it will need some sort of nutritional or even some sort of medical intervention, but still it can't be ignored. It's not something that somebody can just walk away from and pretend it's not happening. That would be a really bad situation. So these are things that we can all affect. A lot of these are dietary factors. Sodium, omega-3s, you have to have omega-3s. Fortunately, USANA produces a fantastic omega-3. Luckily, trans fats are almost out of the human food chain in North America because they've been banned. If people realize how poisonous that stuff was that we were eating for almost 100 years, that was really contributing to heart disease. But luckily, most states, and I believe there's also a federal ban on trans acids. Alcohol is a weird one because there's actually a certain subset of people that a glass or two of wine a day actually increases their lifespan rather than decreases it. But then you've also got the other half of people that it will actually decrease their lifespan. So a lot of it has to do with genetics. A lot has to do with metabolism, your activity levels. Again, I would just, out of an abundance of caution, keep that to a minimum. So anyway, so there's a lot of stuff that we can do to take account for ourselves and be accountable for our health. This is a big thing that I'll tell you, this was a problem for me, and I'll get to that later. But I have boys. I have 3 boys, 3 sons, and they're teenagers now, going into college. 2 of them are in college. And, I was never a fast food guy when I was growing up. It just never really appealed to me. And my parents came from very working class and stuff. And my dad didn't like to spend money on getting fast food or things like that. So we would get it maybe once or twice a year. But nowadays, there's a lot of kids out there that this is there's been data recently that this burger and fries and a Coke is considered to be the most common American meal. And that's probably true, which is really a sad commentary. But if you look, the nutrition on it is almost nothing compared to all the calories that you're taking in. So this is really a bad health choice. Now, every now and then, it's something that I'm not gonna harp on people, because I will admit I've had a hamburger every now and then. Okay, I do, because I enjoy going out with the boys and I like having one every now and then. But you got to keep these things in limitation and moderation. This is something that's really shocking to me. When I first saw it, and it shocks me every time I see it, is how in the United States, for as wealthy of a country and as much food as we have, how many people are walking around every day with nutritional deficiencies and major vitamins and minerals too. So this is not just like trace things that you can kind of get away with. And this data comes directly from the NHANES study, which is the National Institutes of Health study from the United States. So this data is not industry data. This is government data. And so the government's basically admitting that 97% of women are deficient in vitamin E, 88% are deficient in calcium, 67% are deficient in magnesium. You can read the list. But there's some important nutrients there, and particularly in this day and age, when people are really paying attention to immune system health. There's 3 on here that really come out at me as being super important. The population is deficient in vitamin D, and that's turning out to be a huge factor for being able to fight off viruses. So that's a big thing. Vitamin A, it's been known forever that vitamin A is a major immune system modulator. Zinc is an antiviral, a very important antiviral ingredient. You see the levels of deficiency are, for things like vitamin A, are over half the population. Vitamin D is well over half the population. And then vitamin E, when you're talking about fighting off any kind of infection, a cold, a flu, a scrape that you get on your skin, or whatever it is, the injury of some kind, vitamin E is very important in what's called preventing an overreaction of your immune system, which is very dangerous. Sometimes your immune system can overreact and it goes out of control, and that can actually cause worse problems than not having an immune system. And vitamin E is very important because that's very important for controlling the reaction of the immune system. So when your macrophages are a spot of virus and they want to kill it, they shoot hydrogen peroxide at it. So there's a chemical called hydrogen peroxide in your blood cells that they shoot at this thing. Well, hydrogen peroxide is super toxic to your cells, and it will kill all your cells as well if you don't have antioxidants like vitamin E in abundance in your body. So these kind of deficiencies this is not just like trivial matter. This is important stuff. And you're going to see over the next few years that people are going to start paying a lot more attention to this. These numbers are not acceptable. And if it's these numbers here, it's probably similar numbers in Canada, probably very similar numbers in Mexico, Philippines, pretty much every country, I would imagine. Nobody's going to be excelling in these numbers. And this is something that USANA is able to help supplement with people on a daily basis for a very reasonable price. So this data, this slide here came from the Council of Responsible Nutrition, which is the major trade industry organization for the nutritional industry. I used to chair the scientific committee for CRN several years ago. I was the chairman for 4 years for that project. And we did a lot of research, not to promote any one company in general, but just to promote the nutritional industry. And here we're taking data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We're showing that vitamin supplementation can actually reduce the risk. So for example, if you look at coronary heart disease over on the left side, there's quite a few nutrients like B vitamins, phytosterols, omega-3s, dietary fiber that have been shown to have a beneficial effect. If you look down one row on there, you can see that 16% of the population will eventually be affected by CHD. And if you look, nutritional intervention can reduce the effects of that anywhere from 3.3% to 11.5%, which that's pretty dramatic. So nutrition can play a big role in these big problems. And that's exactly what Dr. Wentz intended. And that's what USANA is out there to do. You look at things like age-related macular degeneration. We have a great product called Vision XDS. Love that product. I love it, take it every single day. But see, I know it's more than just an eye health product, okay? It was designed for eye health, and it works great to do that. My eyes are fantastic, better than they've been in years. But it's also great for your skin. It's great for your cognitive functioning. Zeaxanthin and lutein have been shown to really help preserve cognitive functioning. So these are things where simple nutritional interventions can have a huge effect on quality of life, WellSpan, and lifespan. So Intelligence, I'm so proud of this product. This is such a great product. This is on top of this is the top of the line. This is the flagship nutritional for USANA Health Sciences. So this is what we call our Essentials line. But this goes even beyond. Essentials was the best product for 20 years. And then this one surpassed it because it's got an additional facet of technology that the cell signaling components that make it work even better. But anyway, this one was just granted a United States patent just, I believe, last month, no, the month before. So back in May, it was granted a United States patent after about 6 years of being in process. And that's really amazing, first of all, because patents usually take a lot longer than that. They usually take 10, 12, sometimes up to 20 years to get a patent issued. But then also the fact that we were able to get the claims and we were able to get the cell signaling claims around this, it makes USANA very unique. Well, it makes us unique because we're the only ones that can ever have this cell signaling technology. The way that it works is it helps unlock codes within your body. So it's kind of like my son's a gamer. My youngest son is quite the avid gamer, and he's all into these like codes and like all these people he competes against. He knows whether they're using cheat codes or whatever it is. But basically hacking and codes and stuff like that, that's exactly what we're doing. Is we figured out how to do biohacking on a large scale. So that's really what I would say about Cellsentials that makes it unique, is we've come up with a very safe and effective way to biohack the communication systems within your body and trigger renewal processes that should be working in everybody. But like I said, when you walk through the mall and you see 80-year-olds that look 20 and you see 20-year-olds that look 80, in those people, something is different, something very different. And a lot of that is the cell signaling pathways, and we figured out ways of hacking that. These are the compounds that we currently have patented for biohacking. Things like alpha-lipoic acid, curcumin, green tea extract, quercetin, rutin, hesperidin. Those last three, quercetin, rutin, and hesperidin, are things called flavonoids, which are very safe and very, very effective natural compounds. They come from all sorts of plants and vegetables. So if we lived in the Garden of Eden and we were all eating everything that we were supposed to be eating every single day, fresh off the tree, we probably wouldn't have to be supplementing with these things. But let's face it, we're not in the Garden of Eden. We got kicked out a while back. And so anyway, so we're relying on nutrition and scientists to kind of help us make up the gap between the two. So anyway, so these are some of the compounds that we're using currently commercially around the world, but we also have many, many other cell signaling compounds that we're working on constantly in R&D, and you'll be seeing those introduced in new intelligence products that'll be coming out this year and in years to come. So this whole thing about nourish, protect, renew, I love this. Nourish and protect is something that USANA has always done. Nourish is what USANA was based on. Dr. Wentz was not satisfied with the vitamins and mineral supplements that were available back in his day when he started USANA. He was determined to create something better. So he focused on the best, most bioavailable vitamins and minerals that your body needs. And then he got really wrapped up in antioxidants and antioxidant protection. And he was one of the first top scientists. It was very controversial at the time. Are antioxidants good? Are they bad? They might be poisonous. They might be toxic. We don't know. But the research has borne out his what he saw in the laboratory, that antioxidants can protect your cells in ways that other things possibly can't. And then I love this new thing that we're into right now with this intelligence, which is renew. It's triggering these processes within your body to renew themselves. So for example, the mitochondria, the powerhouses, these little generating plants within every cell in your body. They create the energy that's keeping the lights on. I'm able to talk and see and think because of these mitochondria producing energy within my body. But the thing is, these things burn up. They get old, just like an old power plant. They get polluted, and what happens is your body's supposed to basically kill them off and recycle them and rebuild new ones all the time. But oftentimes, if you don't have proper nutrition or there's an impairment of your cell signaling pathways, this doesn't occur. So that's where intelligence technology kind of gives it a kickstart. Using those flavonoids, using those phenolic compounds, we're able to basically biohack the cell into renewing itself. Even if it doesn't feel like doing it, if it doesn't want to, we make it do it. And this is really a huge revolution in human nutrition. Just like antioxidants were and just like vitamin and minerals were decades before, this is the newest thing, and USANA's got patents around this technology. So so these are all the benefits that you get from Cell Essentials. So we've talked about personal accountability. We talked about eating the right things, avoiding the wrong things, and then using supplementation to make sure that you're filling in all the gaps. Very cost-effective way of filling in the gaps in your diet between what you should be eating and what you actually are eating. And I'm not one to judge you. It's not my place to judge you. It's not anybody's place to judge you. You judge yourself. That's what accountability is all about, is holding yourself accountable to whatever standard it is you set for yourself. It may be high, it may be low, but try and shoot for the highest standard that you possibly can. And so in the next few minutes remaining, what I'd like to do is share with you a personal story that's very important to me. That I think emphasizes this personal accountability standpoint. So that was me several years ago. So I've been a corporate executive for a lot of years. 20 years I've been a corporate executive. I've been a chief scientific officer for most of that time. But then I worked my way up to being CEO of a NASDAQ company and did that for about 6 years. Health companies, all the companies I've worked for have been health companies. So I look pretty happy in this picture. We're going to some sort of corporate meeting. I forget exactly. I think this was Seattle. I can't remember. But we're going to a meeting. I did these all the time. So it was a great lifestyle. The pay was great. I traveled around the world, met powerful people. Lots of friends, lots of food. We're always having entertainment and things like that. But here's the secret, is for being a and I was a really good CEO. I was probably one of the top in the country at the time. But the thing is, I was unhappy. I didn't really like doing it. I love being a chief scientific officer, but being a CEO is very stressful. And also you're being held accountable for all aspects of a global company that you may not know anything about. So it's very stressful, very, very stressful position. So I looked really happy and healthy, and I always portrayed that image, but this isn't actually me. But believe me, when I looked in the mirror, I looked similar. All of a sudden I realized I was looking way a lot like my dad, and I was not healthy. So when you take off the expensive suits and everything like that, and you look at yourself in the mirror, I was thinking to myself, for being a health company CEO, man, I sure don't look the part. I'm looking, and I've always been a healthy guy, but I was starting to look really, really terrible. And not only that, but I was ending up in the hospital quite a bit. I ended up in there for exhaustion on several occasions. I was hospitalized for a couple of weeks for exhaustion from after traveling extensively. I'd be in the hospital for all sorts of issues, and it was just really not a very healthy situation. And I had a lot to live for. So, this is my family, this is my boys, these are my three sons. And so I had a lot to live for. And I really didn't want to have to go early. So I realized I needed to make a change in my life. I needed to make some sort of change. So I did the unthinkable thing, and I actually just walked away from being a CEO. Like I talked to some friends I trusted about it, and they said, people don't do that. You can't just walk away. It's, they've got you golden handcuffed, so you're kind of stuck, doing this for a long time. But like I said, the accountability for my family outweighed that. So anyway, so I walked away from it. Just literally walked away. Said, I'm done. I've done a great job. I've done my work here. It's time to move on. Called my friend Dave Wentz at USANA, who he and I have been buddies for a couple decades. And I said, I'm ready to get back to the science of the whole thing, because that's my passion, is doing cutting edge innovative science. And so he said, okay, well, come and join us. I've been asking you for a while, come up here and join us at USANA. And I said, well, I will, but I've got a 1-year non-compete that I can't, at this point, I can't do that right at this moment. So just give me a year and I'll be right up, I'll be right there. So this 1 year I had to myself, I committed to really changing my whole life, going from that fat CEO. So this was at the end of the year. So I literally biohacked myself as an experiment using USANA products, making sure I trained every single day. So I did cycling, rowing, and weight training and spin class pretty much every single day, not all in one day. It was, I'd alternate, but I didn't miss a single day, and I held myself accountable for changing. So then I joined USANA, and this was my first week at USANA. To start your video. What? Oh, so yeah, this was my first week at USANA, and my first day at USANA was actually at the International Convention. So I got to launch Essentials with Tim Wood and Dr. Wentz on my very first day at USANA. So it's a good thing I knew these guys in advance. I knew them really well. So I didn't feel like I was walking into a new place. And then at the end of convention week, so this was filmed, convention ran on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This was filmed on Monday in New York. So literally that weekend, I was on a private jet with Dr. Wentz, Dr. Oz, and myself flying to New York to do the Dr. Oz show. So this was literally in my first week at USANA. So the great thing is, like, the transformation, the change, the personal accountability, it all pays off. You know, you can walk away. You can walk away from an unhealthy lifestyle. You can, it's never too late to change. You know, there's always reasons that will try and prevent you from changing. But that's where personal accountability is. If it really means that much to you, and in my case, it did, it meant a lot, my family and my own health. You know, I didn't want to be a 50-year-old dead guy. All the money in the world is not worth that. So joining USANA and getting back to the science is really what my passion was all about. The great thing is, you know, you make new friends, you know, so people that I knew when I was the fat CEO, they're still my friends and I still talk to them and everything like that. But I've made a whole new circle of friends that are all about wellness and promoting wellness and keeping people healthy. And they appreciate that, you know, and that's something that it's always been my passion, to promote wellness in the world. So nowadays, my passion is to just stay active all the time, year round. So this was last year with me and my brother. He was visiting Park City. We're mountain biking down from the top of Deer Valley Resort, heading down the mountain. It was a beautiful, hot day. It was like 97 degrees. It was like we were sweating like animals, but it was so much fun. And this is the kind of stuff that, you know, if you want to hold yourself accountable, you have to do these kind of things. So this is really what I consider kind of like, this was my milestone. This was what I was aiming for. This was my first photo shoot, bodybuilding photo shoot at 54 years old. At the USANA gym. So it's something that I've always been passionate about my whole life, but I never really pursued it. Never really, you know, I was always in health companies, but never really pursued my passion until I came to USANA. And USANA just made all of my dreams come true. So now it's not just a fad. It's something that's a lifestyle forever. So every morning, I wake up, first thing I do is go to the gym or do something. So I either go mountain biking, I go to the gym, rowing machine, something, even when I travel. So when I used to travel around the world and I didn't exercise at all when I traveled. And now the first thing that I do, this was taken in Macau when we were there for the China National Convention. I had just gotten there at 2 o'clock in the morning the night before. This was taken at 6 o'clock in the morning. So literally I slept for 4 hours. And the first thing I want to do when I wake up is go down to the gym and work out. And I'll tell you, that's the best thing for jet lag. Like, it totally, you know, I used to have issues with jet lag, but I jumped into the gym, you know, I throw on my workout clothes, I head down to the gym. I guarantee most gyms at hotels are empty, like nobody uses them. And they're usually pretty great nowadays. So I always make sure that I stay at some place that has a great fitness center, and I always make sure that I use it every single day. So this is my family. And I'm proud of them. Anyway, that's my personal story of accountability. And another thing that I want to emphasize with you guys is reward yourselves. Okay, this is something that's personal to me. Okay, is I've always been a gym guy. I don't know why. I just do. You know, it's the scientist in me, I think. But I always reward myself. So every single year, every year that I'm successful in staying healthy, I buy a new ring. And anyway, so these are just some ideas to kind of help you with your own wellness journey. That's it.
Wow. Dr. Rob, I just have to say, I am always blown away by the information that you share, but your story and your commitment to health, you're a living testament of it. And I have a thread going with my team, and I was thinking, I need to get off this call and go exercise. He's motivated. We're so impressed, and we're so grateful for you sharing that. And as a father and a husband, I completely understand where you're coming from. And thank you for being an example and showing us what's possible. You're the proof. Whew. So we have some questions that came in, and I'm going to ask these of you. There's 2,000, almost 2,000 people on right now that are excited, and you can see the chat's going crazy. But here's one of the questions that came on. Dr. Rob, how do you stay committed to your health and wellness program despite being distracted, despite life's distractions? What do you tell yourself to make yourself get up and go and do it?
Yeah, Andre, that's a great question. You know what? That's the hardest part, is creating those new habits, and you've got to be kind with yourself. So when I decided to change, it's not like I became, overweight and high blood pressure and, pre-diabetic overnight. It's something that happened just as over time. So you got to be kind with yourself. So the first thing that I did was, just give up things that were easy to give up, like fast food. I'm just not eating that stuff anymore. And then the second thing is to go to the gym. And I was actually very and I tell people this all the time, is just create the habit to go to the gym. Just go there, suit out. You don't even have to lift. If you like your first few months that you go, just the act of going rather than just going home, the act of going is creating a new habit. And eventually it will come. You'll feel inspired and you'll start lifting, and then it will feel good, and then it'll just become addictive. So, looking back 5 years ago, it was very hard to get started, but now I can't imagine stopping because I feel so good right now that I would never go back to the way I felt before, or the way, being in the hospital and things like that.
Amazing. Next question. Sorry, you really moved me, so I'm just trying to read all these questions that are coming in. Next question. How long does it usually take to see a difference? A, when you're working out, and B, when you're taking supplements?
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so supplements, if somebody's new to supplements, that they've never taken supplements before, and they take a good quality supplement like Cell Essentials or Body Rocks or one of our essentials, they're going to notice stuff probably within about 2 weeks. So they're going to notice more energy during the day. They're going to notice that they sleep better at night. And then they're going to notice these weird things. Okay, they're going to notice that their fingernails grow faster. They're going to notice that their hair grows faster. Okay, and you may say, okay, well, that's esoteric. Like, who would even care if your fingernails grow faster? But it's actually an indicator that's been used for thousands of years with health practitioners. They look at your fingernails because fingernails tell you a lot about the health of your body. Because if your fingernails are growing like really long every day, like mine are, it means that you've got healthy protein synthesis going on because your fingernails are made of protein. So if your fingernails are healthy, it means a lot of the other systems in your body are also healthy. So that they would notice within a couple weeks. Exercise takes longer. I learned this the hard way. I was very disappointed when I was 6 months into that exercise program and I didn't really notice a lot of changes. But I kept with it and I kept pushing through. And then all of a sudden things happened very fast after 6 months. So people just have to be kind with themselves and not expect, 2 weeks, things are going to change around for them. They've got to look at 6 months or a year commitment in order to see some realistic changes. Yes, sir. Does that answer your question?
Those are great answers. Thank you. Krista, I know you have a couple that came in for you as well.
Yeah, the next one is an easy one. Do you have any cool tricks to remember to take your supplements?
You know what? I remember for myself, and I also remember for my whole family. So what I do is at nighttime, we sit down to family dinner in the evening, and when I set the table, I always put the packs out. So the My Health packs. And everybody gets one, and they get a probiotic stick, and they also get pro-glucamine these days. Everybody gets pro-glucamine. So they get custom My Health Packs and then the probiotic and the pro-glucamine at dinner every single night. And that's just part of setting the table. They make fun of me. They make fun of me for doing it because it's all like it's just religious to me that I do that. But they're good kids and they're healthy, and knock on wood, I'm glad I do that for them.
That's amazing. I do that too.
How do your kids feel about that?
Oh, they're just like, sometimes they kind of roll their eyes, but they're like, okay, it's just non-negotiable.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. For their own good.
Absolutely. Okay, so the other question that came in was, you covered so much incredible information today and also our other webinars, but at the end of the day, I think as human beings, we're hardwired to kind of do things for reward, right? Yeah. So, a lot of the reasons that we take supplements is not just to feel good today and tomorrow, it's also for the future. So in terms of like the science of the intelligence of Cell Essentials, is there a couple points that would really incentivize people to get on the preventative train by taking their Cell Essentials?
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. It's very, that's the biggest challenge in the industry is, you and I, it sounds like we think pretty similarly. We're thinking down the road, trying to prevent things from happening down the road. We're actually taking that. But I'll tell you, most people don't actually think that way. There's a lot of people that think just simply day to day. So it's hard to get them to make that mind shift. But the thing is, if we can get them at least started on, one of our products like the Body Rocks or something, as a start, as an introductory thing, the feeling that they're going to have, the more energy, not being tired during the day like they used to, or sleeping better at night, where they were all restless before and now they have a good night's sleep. That kind of stuff is self-reinforcing. So I think once people start feeling the benefits and attribute it to supplements, I know what we're going through right now, there's a lot of people that are trying supplements for the very first time. As a matter of fact, some of the government agencies even came out and said that people should start taking supplements. So it's introduced us to a whole new audience of customers. And I guarantee a lot of those people, not all of them are going to stay forever, but there's going to be quite a few that are going to feel such a significant change in their lives and their energy that they're not wanting to go back to the way that they were before. So it's a gradual process, but that's a constant battle you and I have to fight. It's hard convincing people to take care of their own health, but they should, who else is going to take care of you in the long run?
Absolutely. What about this saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure? Is that true?
Oh, it's absolutely true. Yeah, it's probably even more drastic than that. It's probably, because if you think about it, okay, so USANA supplements are, they're affordable, but they're not inexpensive. They're good products. So you pay for a good quality product. But if you think what you'd spend on a year on supplementation to make sure all those bases are covered and everything, and I don't care who you are, look at the national healthcare system in Canada. You can look at it in the United States, Mexico, wherever you guys are. One day in the hospital costs way more than a year's worth of supplementation, way more. And also it's a whole lot less pleasant to be in the hospital than it is to just take the stupid vitamins every day. Just do it.
I'm going to use that line. Just take this.
How obstinate do you have to be? Don't just do it. Just do it.
I wrote that down. I wrote it down and I had it highlighted. Krista, your question was great because that segues us into what we're going to be talking about next week, July 15th, the preventative landscape. Do you want to give a little plug for what's coming up next week, Dr. Rob?
Yeah. So Andre, next week, we're going to talk about the preventative landscape. And as a professional who's been in the health industry for almost 30 years now, 25 years, I've seen a lot of changes. We've always talked about the rise of preventative medicine. And we've seen some of it. Integrative medicine has come into vogue. It used to be very taboo, and now but I see that there's going to be a whole new wave. It's going to be driven by economics. It's going to be driven by just cost effectiveness. How much better, just what we were talking about, how much better is it and more cost effective The average cost of health insurance for one person in the United States right now is almost $10,000 a year. And that's out of pocket for them, $10,000 a year. There's a lot you can do with $10,000 to take care of yourself. And I just want to talk about some of the trends that are taking place that really are going to play into USANA's favor over the next couple of decades. I think it's going to give people a lot of insight as to why we're in the right place at the right time.
Thank you once again, Dr. Rob, for your time. Thank you for your information. Thank you for your stories. Thank you for your heart. We are so gracious. We're so filled with gratitude just to hear all the information you have. And we're excited next week. And there's 2,000 people that came in this week. And we know that for the last one, the room's going to be full. And our hearts are full, our minds are full. So we just want to tell you again, thank you once more for everything you're doing for the company. And I am honored, we are honored and feel more confident sharing the vision and the products because you have just raised the bar. So thank you once again.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. It's an honor to be with you and Krista. And I'm looking forward to next week. This will be fantastic. You guys are awesome. And USANA is just the best company in the world by far, and people should know that.
The best. Now go take your vitamins, everybody.
We'll see you later. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.